The man who lost 3 wives to childbirth. Michael was a man in his mid-40s, successful, kind, and strong, yet carrying the kind of pain no human heart should ever bear. He sat quietly in a hospital corridor, his face pale and wet with tears. In his trembling hands, he held a newborn baby boy, but beside that new life was a silence that screamed louder than any sound, the silence of death. His wife was gone. For the 3rd time in his life, Michael had lost the woman he loved during childbirth. But this tragedy didn't begin today. It began the very day he was born. His mother died while giving birth to him. He never saw her face, never heard her voice, and never felt her arms around him. He grew up carrying the guilt of being the child who lived when his mother didn't. His father, a hardworking man named Ode, raised him alone and never remarried. Michael grew up seeing strength wrapped in silence. He promised himself that one day, he'd make his father proud, and he did. He studied hard, graduated with honors, and landed a good job as a banker. He thought his dark days were behind him. Then came Clara, his college sweetheart, gentle, beautiful, and full of laughter. For the first time, Michael felt whole. They married and began to build their dreams together. When Clara got pregnant, their joy overflowed. He would talk to her belly every night, whispering to his unborn daughter about the life waiting for her. But on the day of delivery, fate struck again. Hours passed in the hospital until finally, a doctor came out smiling and placed a baby girl in his arms. Michael cried tears of joy, until the doctor's next words broke him completely. "Michael, I'm sorry. Clara didn't make it." The floor beneath him seemed to vanish. His happiness died in the same moment his wife did. He named the baby Grace, because she was the only Grace left in his world. For 3 long years, he lived in silence. He went to work, came home, fed his little girl, and stared at empty walls. But Grace's innocent laughter slowly stitched his broken heart. She was his reason to keep going. 4 years later, love found him again, in the form of Lisette, a kind woman who loved Grace like her own. Lisette healed wounds he didn't know were still bleeding. She reminded him that happiness could return. They married, and soon she became pregnant. Michael believed life had finally forgiven him. But 7 months later, during childbirth, tragedy repeated itself. Lisette died, bringing another daughter into the world. Michael screamed until his voice disappeared. "Why me?" he cried. He buried Lisette beside Clara and mourned her for years. He was now father to 2 daughters, Grace and Anna, and he vowed never to love again. But family is persistent. "Michael," his aunt said, "you can't live alone forever. You need a companion, someone to help raise your children." He resisted, afraid of losing again. But loneliness is heavy, and eventually, he gave in. That's when Sonia entered his life. She was his colleague, bright, kind, and full of light. She already adored his daughters and understood his pain. Over time, friendship turned into love. When he proposed, Sonia said something he'd never forget. "I don't want to be your escape from pain. I want to be your peace after it." They got married and spent 2 beautiful years together. Laughter returned to the house. His daughters finally had a mother figure again. And then came the news: Sonia was pregnant. This time, it was a boy. Michael's joy overflowed. He would rest his hand on her belly and whisper, "My son, you'll break the curse." Every evening, Sonia would hold a tiny baby outfit and smile to herself. She would whisper, "I can't wait to meet him." But fate struck again. 2 days ago, Michael was at work when he got a call that Sonia was in labor. He rushed to the hospital, trembling with excitement. Moments later, the doctor congratulated him, "It's a boy." Michael's eyes filled with tears of happiness. But then, the doctor's expression changed. He placed a hand on Michael's shoulder and said softly, "Please, take heart. Sonia didn't make it." Michael's body went numb. His heart shattered into pieces too small to gather. He fell to his knees, holding his newborn son tightly as his tears soaked the baby's blanket. For the 3rd time, history had repeated itself. That night, he sat beside his wife's lifeless body and whispered, "Why me? what have I done? Is this my curse for surviving my mother's death? He thought of his mother, of Clara, of Lisette, and now Sonia, all gone, all leaving behind the same kind of love and pain. He questioned everything, life, karma, even God. But then, he looked down at his son, so small, so peaceful. And in that tiny heartbeat, he found a reason to keep living. He realized something painful but true: life doesn't choose who to hurt. It simply happens. And sometimes, the strongest people are those who keep standing after everything inside them has been broken. Michael now raises his 3 children, Grace, Anna, and his newborn son, Samuel, alone. He may not understand why fate chose him for this kind of pain, but every morning, he looks at their faces and says, "Your mothers gave their lives for you. I'll make sure their sacrifices are never in vain." He still cries sometimes. He still feels the emptiness. But he has chosen to live for them. And when he stands by the window each morning, holding Samuel in his arms and watching the sunrise, he whispers, "Maybe one day, I'll understand why. But until then, I'll keep going. Because love, even when surrounded by death, is still love. And as long as there is love, there is life." If this story touched your heart, don't scroll away. Take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more powerful, emotional real-life stories coming your way. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need healing. Broken Heart Sparkles.